Thank you, Manoj. Good evening, Manoj. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. How are you, Mukund?
I'm doing well. Hey, everybody, be happy because Manoj is actually shaved for you today.
Yes,
I
please
spoke
be
to
happy.
Manoj a couple of days ago, and he was all scruffy and he cleaned up just before our video.
Yeah, so that people can say that I look good.
You always look good. I was just telling you, I got the COVID booster shot a couple of days ago, and man, I was out. I was out for nearly a day and for a while.
I had my last shot, I think 2 years ago, and after that I didn't ever take any other shot. So
Yeah,
that was
that's the thing. I had mine two years ago,
right.
September of 2020, I think. And then after that, I came today and Tuesday and took a shot. It took me a month to get an appointment. And then
Well,
out, man, completely out. I'm getting old, Manoj.
yeah, yeah, I can see that.
But not a great trading week overall. I mostly stayed away. I kept my long term. I used to have a lot of Microsoft in my long term. I have a lot of Amazon in my long term. I have quite a bit of Google in my long term. I have some Netflix and Meta and Nvidia. The big stocks. I just left them. I have Costco as well. So I just left them. Didn't do much trading per se. A couple of small trades, but mostly
I
left it.
think in my case, I had one of the best weeks for the entire year. Made quite a bit of
Wow.
money. Yeah, I
Mostly
was short. I
shorting?
was short. So short most of the names. I was short Nvidia. I was short Netflix. I made money in Netflix shorts. I shorted Meta. I shorted Dow Jones futures. I shorted Russell futures, Nasdaq futures, and I traded all of them. And I didn't trade a lot, but I made a lot of money by keeping the shorts alive for quite a few quite a few days of the week. So
Very
that's nice.
nice. Very nice. Very cool. Good
Yep.
deal. Okay, so let's get to it. We had some big earnings this week. The two best earnings actually were Amazon and Microsoft.
Yeah.
Amazon had a 96 cents profit, 143 billion, up 12% year over year on revenue. Strong earnings.
That was a blockbuster earning.
And
Yep.
Microsoft as well. Microsoft had
Yep.
27% growth on Azure, continuing to execute very, very well. The ones that were okay, Google was not bad. I don't know, for some reason, because of the slowing growth in cloud, which was 20%, 21%, much slower than Azure. So
Right.
Google is expected to be almost about two-thirds of Amazon's business. But man, they are really, they got taken to the cleaners for a not so good
Mhm.
cloud report.
And I was short Google as well. So yeah, I made money there too.
Meta was not bad. Meta was good earnings
Yeah.
as well. I was watching Meta earnings for a little bit. And then the two other stocks that I talked about last week that I was watching was Snap. Okay, earnings, but profitability is still very far away. So I'm not going to touch the stock. It hit the 10 mark and then stayed below 10. 930 is where it's got to. And then VRT, Vertiv, revenue is up 17% year over year. The ticker symbol VRT, good earnings, but the stock performance after earnings was not terrific. I'm not sure why. Well, I know why the stock went down after earnings, but it didn't seem like it was actually a very terrific earnings. But it was not bad. I mean, look at the stock overall. After a very solid rise beginning part of the year,
Mhm.
it's actually taken a little bit of a breather, and it's mostly in a consolidation zone. But Vertiv is in the data center cooling market, and I think this is going to hold for a little bit of time in this range, in the 35 to 40 range. It's probably going to bounce around a little bit. It may break this support, but I'm a little bit more cautious on this right now.
I think it's headed. I'm just looking at your chart. It looks like it headed to 28.
Yeah.
And the reason then that is because the reaction from the top, those weekly red candles. Apart from that, the negative divergence on the weekly chart of the RSI and the price. So that
Yeah.
says a lot that it's actually headed towards a little cool off.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised after this nice bull flag that it formed, it moved higher and then completely down. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back to the 32 range, to try and retouch this range and hit back again. But that was one. And as I had mentioned, and then the other one I was watching fairly closely, as I mentioned, was Snap, hit the $10 range and down. But let's go through the markets really quick, starting with S&P, and then the Nasdaq and the rest of them.
Yeah.
How do we
Yeah.
do? As we
Okay.
expected.
So before speaking, I would just start with this chart, which is of course S&P 500 SPY. Next, Nasdaq, next Dow Jones. And there is a reason why I just went over by one, and then I'll say why I did that. Even if these two charts say does not give us a clear picture where it is headed, maybe some dilly-dallying, but just look at this. Look at Dow Jones. It has clearly broken down of the big channel which has been holding on from ever since COVID lows. This breakdown is not a small breakdown. And since this rally from September 2022 to all the way here, it was led by Dow Jones. Now the downfall is also led by Dow Jones. It's a sign that, if Dow Jones industrial stocks are leading us downwards, we do not want to hold our longs for at least next couple of weeks, if not more. I won't be surprised even if the 200 MA gives up. But yes, there will be some respect to the 200 MA of the weekly on the Dow Jones. But after a couple of weeks, even that will be sold off. So my gut says we are probably headed to touch this particular low sometime in the next 3 to 6 months. I'm saying 3 to 6 months. I don't know if it is going to take so long or if it is going to happen in the next 1 or 2 months. But it does look like that after following this rising wedge breakdown, after this channel breakdown, market does not want to hold here. And when industrial stocks and cyclicals and such kind of biggies fall, it is a sign of impending things to come, which is probably recession or probably a bigger slowdown, if not a recession, probably stagflation. I have no idea what the macroeconomics is saying, but it does look to me that market does not want to hold on here, especially if you look at the last few days. Let me just go back and go to the daily chart. This one-way downtick is not a sign of a healthy market, definitely not. So even if I have this channel, and again, this channel was here earlier, okay? And there is a learning that I wanted to share with my viewers. Even if you are drawing a technical analysis, any channels or any wedges will keep expanding from lower time frames to bigger time frames. So if, for example, my channel was like this earlier, I had to keep moving it based on the various supports and various pivots that it kept. So this was the pivot. This here, June 2023 was the pivot. And now next pivot looks like here. So I won't be surprised if it expands to probably here as well, because this is another pivot.
Right? I was telling Manoj that I have a bunch of channels that I've drawn as well. It just keeps breaking, man.
Absolutely. So we draw a chart. We start with maybe 4-hour chart, or we may start with a daily or maybe 15 minutes or hourly. It will expand from lower time frame to bigger time frame. It doesn't mean that you drew channels wrong. It just means markets are expanding from one time frame to a smaller time frame to bigger time frame. Earlier, market fell, then rally, fell, then rallied, fell, then rallied. Now it is just falling, which means from the on the daily, it looks like a big 7 days of red candles. On the weekly, it's just 1 or 2 weeks red candle. And when you zoom out and zoom in, accordingly, your time frames will change. Accordingly, your channels and your trend lines will change. So do not get frustrated when you draw those channels, when you draw those wedges, because markets are moving, and every day it keeps moving. Your days become weeks, your weeks become months, and months become years. So when it was a highlight, but earlier it came all the way here, so it drew a cup and handle pattern for us. But is the cup and handle pattern holding? We don't know, because markets are definitely falling, and if markets are falling, we definitely want to keep an eye on which kind of patterns would make and which kind of patterns would just give up. So that was the learning that I wanted to share with my viewers.
Yeah, when I look at the S&P 500 versus looking at the Nasdaq, and then looking at the Dow, last week we had talked about the Nasdaq being weakest, and then second was Dow, and third was the S&P. This week, when I look at the performance of all of them after Amazon earnings, Meta earnings, Google earnings, Microsoft earnings, it looks like they're all in trouble equally.
Yep.
Last week I was expecting the biggest downfall for Nasdaq, which is why I was short a little bit. But I'm surprised by how poor even the Dow and the S&P have gotten.
Right. So what it looks to me right now, even if Nasdaq, I mean, tech stocks have definitely started giving up now. So the outperformance of tech stocks compared to S&P or maybe Dow Jones which was holding up, I don't think it's going to hold up anymore. So even if I have this channel here on Nasdaq, I wouldn't be surprised if this channel also expands and probably comes all the way towards this. Who knows? Because this is what market looks like, and this is 50 MA on the weekly. It has to give up. I won't be surprised if it gives up in the next couple of weeks itself, because tech stocks have started giving up. Meta has given up, Google has given up, Microsoft looks like weaker to me. Amazon, of course, holding up, but not all those 8 stocks are holding up now. Nvidia, which was 500, is now less than 400. It tells you that what the next few weeks and next few couple of months for the tech stock looks like. So do not hold on to your longs. Don't love your longs if you are holding for just maybe 2-3 weeks or short term. Get out of it, because the market does not look good to me for the next couple of weeks at least. We'll see what happens after that, but definitely next couple of weeks doesn't look good to me from industrial stocks point of view at least.
Yeah, I think
Nasdaq, yes, even the tech stocks doesn't look good to me.
I think I like my shorts. Next week, I think I think the big move for me is going to be mostly on the short side. But
Yeah.
I think the other interesting part is you look at the earnings that have come so far. None of them have been bad on the tech. I've not seen any horrible tech results. Apple might be the first one that might be a little bit challenged, but
Right.
it's expected that Apple is going to have a little bit of a challenging earnings. But I don't think that's the story. The story is going to be not earnings per se. The story is going to be the fact that we had run up way too much ahead of
Right.
itself.
Right.
And then now 2 quarters of just correcting.
Right.
Okay, how are
Next.
we doing on the? I don't even want to go to the Russell 2000. I don't even. I looked at this before we both talked. Right, I looked at Russell. I'm like, oh my God, that there is no
Yes.
bottom for this. It seems it's just going.
Small green candles in such big, consistently 4 weeks of red candles. I mean, I started the channel which I'm holding here right now. It started with 4-hour charts. This is where I started drawing it, and from there it continued to expand, and now from daily to all the way weekly. And just look at this vertical downtick. All the supports, all the trend lines, all the channels, and the demand zone have not been holding. And
Manu,
as we have been saying, if small
can you
caps do not perform, don't expect markets to hold up. And that's what
can
it
you
did.
zoom out on this chart? Can you
I'm
zoom out
sorry.
quickly?
I'm
Little
sorry, what?
zoom out a little bit. Not zoom in, zoom out.
Okay.
Yeah, the next demand zone seemed to be much lower. Look at the demand zone at the 1400 range.
Yeah, 1440 kind of a zone. 1430, 1440, 1470.
That's
Yeah.
200 down from here.
Yeah.
That's nearly
Yeah. So all the MAs have gone, all the
10%.
channel supports have gone, all the trend lines have gone. So only thing that's going to come up is the demand zone, nothing else.
How are we doing on the on the treasury and also on the oil?
Here is the crude oil. So the reason I actually talked about this expanding channels is the channel here has also expanded. Just look at it. Now, although it looks like it has broken, but if it was a breakdown, it would have broken down big time. Now, let me just show it live. How do we expand the channels and how it looks like once you expand? Now, tell me if it has broken down. It is not.
Continuing to just measure itself down, man.
Absolutely. The reason I keep doing that is because it depends upon the kind of moves a particular stock or a particular commodity or index is doing. If it was a breakdown, this breakdown should have resulted into big 2-3 red candles. It shouldn't be dilly-dallying and it shouldn't be consolidating. This consolidation here gave me a sign that it is actually not a breakdown. It is probably expansion of the channel itself. And that is the reason I had to redraw the channel. I had to, I had actually redrawn it earlier, but I, went back to this thing to show it live to my audiences that, this is what market usually does. It had happened many times in Dow Jones futures as well. It has happened many times in Russell 2000 as well. In fact, this particular channel on Russell that we talked about, I won't be surprised if it expands all the way into here by this.
Manoj, the last thing I want you to just quickly bring the chart of on the weekly is Bitcoin, BTC USD.
It's been a long time. I haven't actually looked at the charts.
The weekly. Okay, so the last time I checked it, it actually was in, it went through a bunch of different, as you can imagine, bunch of different ups and downs and sideways, everything else. But I had put together actually 24.57, 24.570 stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then I managed to get it out in the 25,000 zone, rode all the way to roughly about 28, left it, and then it kept on going down from there.
Mm-hmm.
Good green candle on the weeks, man. This is starting to look very, very good. I wanted to bring one important point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if users and our followers know that the cost of processing Bitcoin used to be $47 for every Bitcoin that was mined,
Mm-hmm.
a gas fee, and that has dropped over the last 5 years to under $2.
Wow.
So the cost of processing Bitcoin is also coming down dramatically, meaning putting the data on the blockchain and managing it.
So basically the mining cost you're talking about?
Mining cost, and also the what in traditional terms we would call putting it on the blockchain, right?
Okay.
That cost is coming down dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other altcoins, as they call them, Solano, Cardano, and everybody else, they are even lower than that. It's in the very, very few cents. So I see actually a period of time where Bitcoin and also related cryptocurrencies could do well until the end of the year at least.
That's nice. And this is really surprising because mostly we have seen Bitcoin performs vis-a-vis, I mean, whether it underperforms or outperforms based on how the markets are. So it goes into the same direction. This is the first time that I'm seeing that, Bitcoin is going up, whereas stocks and everything else is going down. So this is welcome change for the Bitcoin lovers.
Yeah, I see a clear path to 35 at least without a problem. Again, I think it depends on when you're tracking it, how you're tracking it, etc. But I can see this get to a 35 very easily. And I drawn a bunch of different, wedges and lines and everything else, and it's consistently done that beautifully.
So this is actually the reason I actually drew this log line is because it gives us a different perspective. Based on the log chart, it has been consistently holding this particular trend line support. So as long as it is above this, we don't have a problem. So the next support for me is 24,700, which you were saying 24,500 kind of a zone. So, yep, looks good.
Okay. The next week, we have some interesting earnings. One of them that I wanted to bring up is actually ANET, Arista Networks, ANET. So had a very strong result after earnings, moved up. Look at the gap up after earnings. Had a strong gap up after earnings, moved around slowly a little bit, and then just absolutely cratered a couple of days ago, just before earnings. This always does this. Look at the few days before earnings last time around. Look at the earnings last week, and look at the lead candles before the earnings last week.
Yeah.
It always does this. It just tanks before earnings and then gaps up after earnings.
That's weird.
Watch ANET. I like ANET quite a bit. The other stocks I'm following, but I'm not very close to pulling next week. Obviously, the big one is Apple. Apple earnings are on deck next week. The other ones are SoFi, a big favorite of a lot of people. A lot of people like SoFi quite a bit, I think. And then DraftKings, Roku, Palantir, another very popular stock, and Shopify. So those are the ones. Just keep a lookout for them next week. I'm still not bullish on Shopify or SoFi yet. Shopify, my target was actually somewhere in the 45 range, and I think I'll probably get there fairly quickly. I mentioned that last week. It was at 51, and I said it's going to go to 45. It's already at 46. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to 45. My target is to buy it somewhere in the 38 range, but I'm going to wait for it and then slowly wait for it to come back.
Yeah, looks like 38 should be the next one. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Any other stocks that you are following, Manoj?
Yes, there are quite a few. That will bring them all. 4 stocks.
Your favorite? Oh, Taiwan. I thought you were going to talk about Netflix. You're always making money on Netflix shorting.
Okay, so this is TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, and there is a reason is the dual pattern that it is
Oh,
formed.
diamond. The great diamond.
Yes, the diamond top and the channel, and on the verge of a breakdown. So I would caution everyone to not hold longs into this, because if it was, if it had any meat in the bounce here, it wouldn't be this big rand candle, especially on the weekly. Secondly, it is under the 200 weeks MA as well. It has done the Billy Daly already, so it has given up on the 200 weeks MA. It has given up on the weekly candle. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next week itself it falls off the diamond and off the channel support. So if you're holding the TSM in your portfolio, or if you're holding for the just short-term basis, get out would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I can see that. They didn't have great earnings. It was okay. They were saying that they're expecting, Intel, on the other hand, surprisingly had very good earnings, which I didn't expect.
Yep. And it did well as well today. I think it was up 11-12% today.
Yep, Intel had very good earnings. They're saying the PC market is coming back again for them. And then the second thing they said was the fab earnings were actually very, very good. So they're actually, hopefully they'll get back up. AMD reports next week as well, so that'll be an interesting watch.
Okay.
Xerox, you're not very positive. You're not bullish on Xerox. Oh my God, look at that chart. I don't
Okay.
want to touch this stock unless if I
From
was.
the daily chart, it does look like oversold. Now just leave everything aside and look at this monthly chart.
It's in the same place.
This pattern is called a descending triangle. Now, descending triangle on a monthly, on the verge of a breakdown. Please do not hold this stock. If you're holding, get out of the way. It is on the verge of this big breakdown. In fact, it has already broken down if you look closely. And this big red candle on the monthly, October month, is yet to close. There is still 2 more days of trading. Get out of the way. Don't hold it. So that's Xerox.
I've not been following Xerox at all. Your
No, I
favorite
don't. But
Netflix,
when
which you
there are
always-
trading opportunities, if you get to trade, why not? I would say if you get to short, go ahead and short it, because it does look like that it's not going to hold up. So I have my shorts, definitely, yes.
Going back to your favorite Netflix, which you always like to short.
No, I don't always like to short, but it has given me an opportunity to short today. So I did short yesterday. I made some money today, and I've carried my short today as well. And the reason is simple. So last week I was bullish on this because I had one falling wedge which actually broke out. I did not carry much position into the longs. I moved out as soon as it gapped up, and then I was out. After this breakdown, I was hoping for a backtest, which this backtest did give me. If the earnings were supposed to hold, one thing, this gap will definitely be closed, is my one suggestion. I will know by Monday or Tuesday. That's another sign. Second, 200 weeks MA has been respected for the bears. So that's another sign for me. And if I would draw a channel, there would be a channel as well.
The candle after earnings was not very good, man.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a gap up, it didn't hold up.
It was a good move. Just look at that. It's you want to see earnings like that with very strong earnings. You want to see a good green candle like you saw at the top on the left-hand side, right?
Yeah,
July,
right here.
You want to see that kind of candle. Or this is not a good candle. Yeah, I think the gap fill is going to happen sooner than you think.
Absolutely, and that is the reason I think I'm carrying my shorts. Let's see whether it rewards me or not. But I do feel that it is heading all the way. I feel it is heading all the way towards 320, 340 kind of a zone again. Whether it comes or not, I don't know. But I feel it is going that way. And the next one is PayPal.
PayPal, world's most.
The only reason I'm talking about this is because somebody actually asked about it on the commented on the YouTube. I have to zoom out and take it a little closer so that people can see, because the candles are so lower because of the steep fall, you cannot properly see it. So even if I remove all the images, you will not be able to see it. The next demand zone is down all the way towards 44, 42 zone, not before that. So it has broken one key support which has been holding up for last long time. The support has been broken. It's gone. So it's heading towards 42, 44. After 42, 44, I surrender. I have no clue what's going to happen.
All of fintech is struggling. Square,
Yes.
everybody in fintech is struggling.
Square,
And
Affirm, PayPal, everyone.
WLN, Worldline, when you guys get a chance, take a look at another fintech company, WLN, as in Nancy.
Okay.
50% drop. Look at that candle.
Wow.
50% drop on earnings.
Wow.
Just like Aiden. Yeah. I've been watching all of these for quite a bit of time. This is it's gone down 50%, just absolutely got cratered. Fintech overall, just like solar, seems to be in the deep problems right now. But awesome, Manoj.
Yep.
For the very nice review. Thank you everybody for subscribing. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for asking more questions. Please continue to do that. We will talk to you again next week. We're going to consider doing maybe a midweek review. Manoj wanted to do the India stock market, but I'm not sure how many people we have from India that are going to be following it, Manoj. That's why I've never followed up on it. It may not be a bad idea to do a midweek review of maybe just the market itself. So maybe, depending on what you guys say on the comments, we might do a midweek review.
Sure, definitely.
Thanks, Manoj.
All right. Bye-bye. Take care.